Hello, welcome to TSC Talks, the podcast inspired by the condition known as tuberous sclerosis complex, which causes benign tumors to grow in all the major organs of the body. This podcast is for those directly affected, parents, caregivers, anyone who's ever struggled to make sense of unimaginable circumstances and find a way. My name is Jill Woodworth, and I am your host. Buckle up. We're going for a ride outside the box, off the grid, down many a rabbit hole, and back as we wrangle a way to case manage and stay sane. Talk about it, compare notes, find the experts, pick their brains. No magic bullet, but we are not alone. Happy Friday. Take about 8,500. I'm trying to do a quick intro for this little mini pod I'm putting together, trying a different format. I'm going to throw at you some clips from upcoming podcasts as well as a clip from a past podcast. I am not going to go into detail on these clips because that kind of is defeating the point, but I have Blaze Therapeutics up first. They will be our next guests on the podcast. Then I have Michael Pedersen. He is the host, producer of the Cannabis Update podcast in Canada, as well as some other broadcasting. He broadcasts in Canada as well. And then I have Tyrone William. He is a father. He has grown up in the industry, experienced some of the darker aspects of the industry, and wants to make sure that the history is represented in today's world and today's discussion and what people went through. So, and then wrapping it up with Mike Robinson, who has been a previous guest. He is the founder of the Global Cannabinoid Research Center, and he has got a crowdfunder going for his daughter, Genevieve, who is severe autism and epilepsy, and is Genevieve's Carousel Challenge. So he's going to talk a little bit at the end. And I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will be back at you with the regular old podcast with, like I said, Blaze coming up and more on the way, and hoping this format is kind of, a little lighthearted, not lighthearted in content, but yeah, easy listening. So anyways, take it away, people. Nadia, you are the president of Blaze Therapeutics, and Vincent, you are VP, or you're both?
Yeah, so I do have the status of president at Pediatrics United for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but I'm also a member of the Rare Advocacy movement. In regards to Blaze, I'm the CEO.
Okay, yeah, unbelievable. I was reading through your LinkedIn, and I want to hear more. So I guess if you want to just start off, both of you, tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, whoever wants to start. Yeah.
So my name is Vincent Crowley. I'm a medically retired veteran of the United States Army. My past experience in the Army was served as a dental hygienist. I also studied psychology at the University of Maryland. I'm co-founder of New Love Ventures and also the senior vice president at Blaze Therapeutics.
Yeah,
awesome.
And I'm also a co-founder at New Love Ventures as well, and the CEO for Blaze Therapeutics. And just by way of medical education, I have my doctorates in pharmacy and my master's in genetics from Rutgers University. And my primary focus for the past decade has always been in rare disease patient advocacy through a variety of projects and organizations in the drug development industry. And the most recent project I've had the honor of working on is through the Rare Advocacy movement, which is a group of rare disease patient advocacy leaders dedicated to understanding and documenting the evolving patient advocacy landscape and uniting different stakeholders through collaborative projects.
Okay, so you just heard Blaze Therapeutics, and up next is Michael Pedersen of Cannabis Update podcast. You want to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your background and whatnot?
Yeah, sure. My name is Michael Pedersen, as you said. My day job is I general manage a radio station in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So my background is in production. So naturally, podcasting is something that I liked originally. Like I like listening to them. And when the whole business of cannabis in Canada started to evolve and grow, I saw a need for a podcast that sort of interviewed industry players. So with my production background and with my interest in the cannabis space, I thought, well, this is perfect. Why don't I just jump in and start? So that's really why I started. And I had friends who were investing in cannabis stocks in Canada. And when I looked into it, I thought, well, there's got to be a podcast out there I can listen to where I can learn about the companies. And there wasn't. And I thought, oh, geez, I get better do something here. So that's kind of like how I started. And the podcast has evolved over time. Now it's a little bit more culture and not always business, some science. I try to really get into the individual, the personalities of the people in the space, so people get to know who's kind of steering the ship in these companies, a little bit more than simply numbers and figures. Sometimes it's like, where do you come from? What are your hobbies? It could be anything, but like, who are these CEOs that we're all investing in, we're all interested in? And that's kind of where I go.
That's awesome. Thanks, Michael. And up next is Tyrone William. I gave you a brief intro of him in the other intro, so go ahead and take it away, Tyrone.
One of my first memories is sitting in a pile of money and throwing it up in and weed and throwing it up in the air like Richie Rich, and that's still funny to my father to this day.
Really?
And when I was 3 years old, we dropped my uncle off at the airport, and he was shot down by the Mexican military on his way back.
Oh, how did you learn about that? Did your dad find out, or how did you learn how that happened?
My dad found out.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So
he was a very, very good pilot, and it was a C-130 plane, so there's no way that it would have just fallen out of the sky.
Yeah, for sure. So got a plane crash, but the cartels, and then your dad took over everything. Is that correct?
Exactly. And then my godfather, Angel, he was killed by the Mexican military in a big, blaze of glory at his house in Baja. So I, learned and about that when I was way too young. A really crazy event that occurred, and I was kind of my mom's confidant. And that's why I grew up so quick, because I didn't have really much.
Had to be.
I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any, anybody you look to for, except for my grandmother on my mom's side. She gave me my mom, they both gave me my work ethic and my ability to love.
And wrapping it up is Mike Robinson. Thanks, Mike, and take it away.
I didn't know anything about cannabinoid medicine other than smoking weed. I didn't know about oils. Nobody was talking about it in 2003. I didn't know what to do other than what everybody else did. But I'm telling you, from the end of 2003 until 2006, I wasn't too happy with the medical industry. I was in a wheelchair. My life literally deteriorated. I went from wheelchair to cane to walking to running to surfing back to wheelchair again, all because of failure to disclose. So we can no longer expect for doctors to disclose to us things like opioids will kill us.
This is it's funny because I just recently had an experience where there wasn't a communication, and there could have been a very dangerous incident with my daughter who has epilepsy. Part of her TSC is seizures. So, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so we've got to actually look out and gain our own information. We've got to double check with our doctors. I've treated so many different things with cannabis that doctors would like to treat with something else. That racing wreck gave me severe PTSD. Going through this withdrawal, I started in January. The big difference between withdrawing off of pharmaceuticals and withdrawing off of heroin, for example, is the heavy pharma opioid user has a continual supply, where the heroin user is running out. They're looking for the next fix. They're going through a withdrawal continually. In 1 year, a heroin addict might face 50 or 100 withdrawals or more, where the pharmaceutical opioid addict, it never truly sees dope sick withdrawal until they actually exit 100%. So for me, when I quit Norco, I felt worse than when I quit fentanyl, worse than when I quit Oxy. It took me all year. And that's when I discovered that universal dosing of cannabinoid medicine will never work. Because I started working on protocols to help people who are addicted to substances. And I was working with CBD, CBG, CBC compounds, CBN, THC. I was trying to mix them all together.
How
I
did
was
you
trying to
use
come
that
up with,
in a lab?
I'm
interested.
Well, they were mixed in a lab and came to me already compounded.
Okay.
So I basically stated what I want, and it came to me. These are very expensive isolated cannabinoids. So here I thought these expensive isolated cannabinoids selling for $50,000 a kilo, that's what we need for cannabinoid replacement therapy for opioids. And, I discovered that all these different isolates, guess what? Now, our body was not made to ingest a bunch of isolate
separately.
Cannabinoids. Our body, over thousands of years, is used to ingesting a plant medicine. So what I found was that no matter what I did with single cannabinoids coupled together, it never worked as well as a whole plant extract with terpenes in it.
Yep.
It just never did the same job. And what I found that was even more amazing is the CBD to drug contraindication problem that's out there. It's another thing doctors don't know about.
Yeah.
A patient that's taking CBD that also has epilepsy could be taking a seizure medicine like Onfi or clobazam that directly contraindicates, and it could cause an increased amount of seizures or status. THC spikes the seizure. I have heard this out of a few medical professionals that I've had to pull off to the side and say, look, if you have not worked directly with a cannabis patient, please stop making these references to what cannabinoids will do within them.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is spreading your theory. It's not an application. It's not anecdotal. It's nothing more than an opinion.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast, TSC Talks. Please feel free to navigate to our website, www.tsctalks.com. Please try to support us, make a contribution, say a prayer, leave a review. Tell us you love us, you hate us, but thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more.